Welcome back to the Strength and Speed podcast. I'm your host, Strength and Speed owner and Conquer the Gauntlet Pro, Evan Perperis. I've got two guests with me. I'm going to bring one of them on, then we'll do a word from our sponsors, and then we will jump into today's content. So joining me, I have my teammate, another Conquer the Gauntlet Pro team member, Jenny Overstreet. Jenny, welcome.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Yeah. And then I got someone else in the line. Before we get to him, though, this episode is brought to you by Amino Co. With over 30 years of research by a world-renowned scientific team, Amino Co. has determined the precise blends of amino acids needed for you to become more fit, increase your lean muscle mass, and improve your overall metabolic health. So I've tried two Amino Co. products, Perform and Heal. Perform is an essential amino acid blend with 60 milligrams of caffeine, so it's great for a pre-workout or kind of a midday pick-me-up. One scoop of Perform helps me improve performance and endurance in my workouts, so whether I use that before the workout or kind of midday just because I'm feeling a little sluggish. The amino acid blend is optimized to improve muscle performance while providing mental support and energy. So just one scoop is enough to kind of feel the difference and get things going. Or if you need more energy, you can always add in more scoops. Say 2 to 3 are the recommended for athletes for maximum results. Amino Co.'s products are keto-friendly, soy-free, non-GMO, and the ingredients are 100% clean, which is something that's really awesome. It's a great pre-workout product or midday pick-me-up that tastes great. You know, personally, my favorite flavor is blue raspberry. I think it tastes delicious. The other product of theirs I've tried is Heal, which is a post-workout and recovery product. It's amino acid based just like Perform, but this one has some whey protein in it. I've tried their all-natural flavor. It's a sour apple flavor. I think it tastes really good. Heal is also 100% science-backed and originally developed for astronauts. And just like Perform, it's clinically proven to build muscle and speed recovery. It's a great product for those looking to keep their muscle mass and stay lean while keeping calories lower. Heal is also very effective for accelerating surgical and injury recovery, which are crucial for athletes, especially OCR athletes. If anyone wants to give these products a try, you can head over to aminoco.com/TSS. So aminoco.com/TSS, as in Team Strength Speed. And you can use code STRENGTH, which will give you 30% off plus a free gift. So check that out. And also keep an eye out because I'll be doing a couple of reviews on Mutter and Guide. All right, let's get back to today's episode. Let's bring on our guest. Our guest is, as of this past weekend, the champion of Indian Mud Run on the male side. So I got Logan Broadbent, the boomerang expert and pro obstacle course racer for the Spartan Pro team. Logan, welcome back.
Hey, Evan. Hey, Jenny. Glad to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. I really enjoyed having you on last time. If anyone hasn't listened to that episode with Logan, please go back and listen to it. I think it came out great. And his boomerang accomplishments, after listening to it, I sat down and watched the Dude Perfect video you were on, which has something like 2 million views or something insane. And,
yeah, it's got 105 million right now, I think.
I'm sorry. I was off by a factor of like
50.
Yeah, no big deal. What I love about the video is you throw these insane shots, you'll hit something, and the Dude Perfect guys are going nuts, and you're like, yeah, that was pretty good. Like, it almost seemed like it wasn't even a big deal for you, and the Dude Perfect guys are going completely apeshit. So I really enjoyed it. Go check it out.
I've been doing it my whole life, so it's a little less exciting, 33 years into it. But yeah, it's awesome. It's really fun, and actually. Everybody can look out if you watch that video. I'll actually be heading out there here in about a week and a half, and we're going to be shooting a boomerang trick shots part 2 with Dude Perfect. That is going to be a step up from the initial video. So yeah, we're gonna pull out all the stops on this one,
and then convince them to do a Dude Perfect obstacle course racing edition. I'm not sure what that looks like in practice, but they can figure it out. So. Just kind of float that idea by them.
I love that idea. And I've always said, obstacle course racing should incorporate boomerang somehow into an obstacle because, we already have spear throws and some places have hatchets, stuff like that.
Hilda has hatchet, yeah.
Yeah, boomerangs would definitely give me a little bit of an edge.
I think it would give you all the edge. All right, so let's jump into, we're going to talk a little bit about Logan, but not too much because we covered him pretty in depth last time, kind of more of like what is going on for him this season. And then we're going to spend the majority of the episode talking about the epic Indian Mud Run. So, local event turned into almost like worldwide phenomenon in the OCR world. And just an amazing course packed with 85 obstacles. And the Battle of the Lions Bill crew was out there helping put together some of the more technical obstacles that people may have encountered. So before we get to that, though, let's start off, Logan. What have you been up to since we talked to you last and in 2021?
Yeah, so obviously since we talked last, things have been shaken up a little bit, obviously with the global pandemic, but didn't allow that to really slow me down in terms of training or preparing for OCR. Getting out there, hitting trails, hitting the track, just loving to do what we do. Doing quite a bit of rock climbing. I was planning to do American Ninja Warrior last year, and that was actually they canceled my city that I was called to go to. But I did compete on American Ninja Warrior this season in Tacoma. So that episode will be coming up. So that required me to, I think that's July 12th it'll be on, but that one required me obviously to work on obstacle proficiency, to continue to keep that grip and upper body strength. But haven't taken any time off of running either. So I've been running, been climbing, been doing everything that I typically do, throwing boomerangs on occasion, and haven't missed a beat.
Cool. And then I know you've had some pretty good OCR results before Indian Mud Run, including in the Spartan National Series. Do you want to share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah. So I decided to go down to Jacksonville at the end of February. It's always a good time to see everybody. I know everybody was very eager to get back to racing after a year off of Spartan races, at least. And so I popped down to Jacksonville and didn't have huge expectations for myself. It's hard to kind of know where you stand until you're racing on a regular basis. But I felt good in my training. The block of work that I'd been doing, over the winter here in Cleveland, felt pretty good. Obviously, it's a little bit warmer down in Jacksonville, and it wasn't really a course that was designed for me, right? It's flat, it's short, it's kind of an all-out, sprint. And for me, I think of myself more as a longer distance guy. Despite being in Cleveland, Ohio, I like hills, I like climbs, I like going up and down. And I like really technical, trails and stuff like that. So definitely, not what Jacksonville was, but I actually ran really well. I ran well there. I ran through the mud pretty quickly and efficiently. I made a good decision on the tire flip, where I wasted a little less time than some others. Burned through my burpees on that one, and ended up on the podium. I think that was a surprise to a lot of people. But if you look at my history and what I've done in the past, I kind of fly under the radar a little bit, and I'm not very self-promoting. So it makes sense maybe if people didn't have me on the list, but I think that kind of put people on notice maybe for this year. And so I was really happy with the result there in Jacksonville, and I plan to do the remainder of the U.S. National Series. So we have Utah coming up in mid to late July. We have Asheville, I think July 31st. I've got the Spartan West Virginia Beast as part of the U.S. National Series in late August, and I plan to be at all those events. And I think Big Bear might be the last one in October for the other U.S. National Series race. So plan to see me doing those.
Cool. Yeah, you answered my next question, which was going to be what else is on the National Series tour, because I haven't been paying too close attention.
So this year they're taking your top 3 performances in the 5 National Series races. So, nice. We'll see how Utah and Asheville and West Virginia go and decide whether I have to show up to Big Bear. But, going up to elevation from being in Cleveland might be a challenge. So Utah might be a little bit of a rough race for me, but, I might as well show up and do my best and try it out. But we have a lot of other stuff going on in between there too, other races, other competitions. And, that's just, one series that I'm keeping on the forefront.
You kind of alluded to it. What other events you got on your list coming up for this year?
Yeah, so we've got, obviously some boomerang tournaments, Dude Perfect Shoot again. But later in the year, I plan to I'll probably do the Indiana, kind of the Midwest Spartan race. It's a little bit closer to me, which is always good. We have OCR World Championships in Stratton, which I love Stratton Mountain. That's, I just love that venue. And I love the style of race there where, they run us straight up to the top of the mountain first thing. At the past 2 North American championships, I finished 4th. At that race, at that venue, just off the podium in the elite wave. So I would love to be on top, with some more competition. We've got the Boston Marathon, October 9th. So I'm still doing running. I'm still doing distance running. I've qualified for the Boston Marathon, probably run that in October. And then we'll see what else pops up. There's a lot of other fun ones I've been meaning to do. There's a Highlander Assault race in Illinois. There's some stadium races that look like a lot of fun that might be cool to throw my hat in. And then we'll see what pops up on the schedule. But I like to keep things pretty flexible. I have kind of those main races that I definitely want to do. But it's possible I just show up for one weekend. I have a free day and I'll pop out to wherever to race.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Now, and
Abu Dhabi at the end of the year. I forgot to mention Abu Dhabi.
Oh, nice. You're going all the way out to Abu Dhabi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's go run in the sand a little bit. Why not?
I love it. I'm actually interested in going out for that if my schedule would allow for it. I know some people were hating on the Middle East, but I go there all the time. So, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. And Abu Dhabi and Dubai are like the most westernized parts of the Middle East that you can possibly get. Like it's pretty, it's as close to being in the Middle East without you are in the Middle East, but it's just so different from every other country I've been to. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's Starbucks, there's McDonald's, there's
exactly,
all of those places. I was in Qatar, on my way to the Boomerang World Championships in Perth, Australia. And I stopped through Qatar for a couple of days. Nice. It's a much more strict country. It's a little bit different. So that was a really unique cultural experience, right, to be there. But I think Abu Dhabi would be, if you're gonna go out there and race, I think this is a place to do it.
Yeah, I spent a couple months in Qatar, so very nice. Very familiar with the area.
Oh yeah.
When is Abu Dhabi again? Is it November?
I think it's December 3rd through the 5th or something.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's like that first week in December.
Gotcha.
And speaking of the Middle East, I'm going to give my friends over at Hannibal Race a quick shout out. They just announced they're doing races again. First one, August 8th in Lebanon. So currently not planning on going out for it, but I'm just excited to see my friends over in the Middle East there putting on race again, especially they were locked down pretty good for the last year. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure they're eager to race too, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Did you go to the Museum of Islamic Art while in Qatar?
Yes, I did. Man, that was spectacular. What an incredible place.
The physical building in the museum, I was more excited about than some of the art, most of the artifacts, to be honest with you. Right? Because it's I don't know if you realize it, but it's on a man-made little island. Like they built that little island. And then they built this gorgeous building on top of it by the same guy who did the Louvre pyramids, I am Pei.
Yeah. Yep.
So really cool building.
Yeah. He also built the Hancock building in Chicago, if anybody's familiar with the John Hancock building there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
One of my favorite architects.
Ooh, do you have a list of favorite architects, or is this just?
I've got a few.
Okay.
Some residential, some commercial, some, a little bit bigger. I think Frank Gehry does some really cool, unique stuff with his, if you ever see a building that has these large steel or aluminum shingles that have no right angles, that's Frank Gehry. He designs those. They all have issues with water and drainage, but they look really cool, so that's good. But back to OCR. What were we talking about?
Just talking about racing and stuff like that. So again, you don't have to answer this one if you don't want. I don't want you to get in any trouble. I know last time we talked, I was like, oh, are you on the Spartan team for this year? And you're like, I don't know. And then fast forward literally 48 hours, you messaged me like, oh, I am on the Spartan team. I was like, cool. Did everyone, my understanding is some of the top names did not come back. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we weren't asked to sign any type of contract this year.
Okay.
So there's no like contractual obligations, right? With Spartan, at least, as of what is it, July 1st, 2021. But get to race, get a couple of little perks and stuff. I think a lot of folks are out there who are relying on the sport for income, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is important, and it's important to take care of those athletes, and they're probably bigger names in the sport, right, than mine. And I think we need to respect that they're elevating the sport, right, in that regard, and should be rewarded for it. For me, career, I've got OCR, which I absolutely love and I'm super passionate to continue to grow and expand, and but I don't rely on it for my livelihood.
Right. It's
right.
Like your
It's
sole source of income.
It's a little bit of a different story there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Whoa.
Yep.
The lights in my office just went out. I have a motion sensor. So we're recording this in my new office. I moved locations, and we've got a motion sensor, and now I'm sitting in the dark. And it does not it does not recognize me. Why? There we go. Okay. I have the lights back on. Okay. Yeah, interesting. I figured that's kind of what happened. I didn't really have any of the details. I just kind of assumed, basically with COVID and
Right.
essentially Spartan. I mean, I'm going to make I'm going to make an inference here, a guesstimation here, that like they were essentially hemorrhaging money for a year, like
Sure.
pretty substantially, right? Between buying Tough Mudder and all their debt, and then essentially having no race registrations for a year, right? Like that's probably going to put the business in a pretty rough place. So like we were saying, there are athletes who depend on this for the livelihood, but right, like,
Sure.
But if Spartan at the same time is giving away all the same benefits, maybe there's not a Spartan race in another 2 years, right? Like,
Right.
we got to balance the sport itself with like the athletes. So I'm not saying I'm on Spartan's side or on the athlete side. I'm just saying things are always more complicated than they seem at first glance.
It is. And I think a lot of people look at it as, oh, it's this massive, massive company, massive business. That may be true. It's a relatively, it's a medium-sized business, but what are the margins, right? How much are they investing into the sport, into advertising for the sport, into getting more people involved in the sport? And what are you left with at the end of the day that can be split amongst different priorities, right? Whether it be, new races, new venues, new obstacles, people to help support the race and, set the trails and everything, or paying athletes, right, to compete. And it's not just, I always like to keep in mind that there are a lot of people who benefit from the sport who aren't necessarily that elite level, right? And, but they're still out there, they're still getting after it. And that's something worth investing into. Just something we want to keep in mind if we want the sport to continue to grow and succeed, and we want to continue to do this for years to come.
Gotcha. Yeah. Good stuff. Good insight. I always appreciate your insight.
I appreciate that. Thanks. I don't know if it's worth anything, but hey, whatever.
All right, let's jump into Indian Mud Run, right? I mean, Indian Mud Run, a couple years ago, I'd say it was just kind of like a blip on the radar. There's like, there's this brand Indian Mud Run that brought these floating walls to OCR World Championships. And then I feel like their presence there, and then for a while, like Hubie was actually driving around to some other events and like carrying this monstrosity, right? Because he brought like the full floating walls with the scaffolding to several other events. And then since then, it's kind of blown up a little bit, and it's got I know I put it on my Mud Run Guide's Ultimate OCR bucket list, the book I wrote, highlighting the brand. And, it's been on my bucket list for the last, since 2017 was the first year I really wanted to go. And it just hasn't lined up really well until this year, which also didn't line up really well. I was in the middle of moving houses, but I was like, you know what? I was like, we're just going to drive out there. So that's what we did. So Jenny, give me your some of your first thoughts on experiencing Indian Mud Run, because I know all three of us is our first time running the event.
Yeah. So I really kind of stepped into the sport in 2019, and I had heard about it and then really wanted to do it in 2020, which obviously couldn't have happened. And I was kind of like you. I was like, okay, I'm finding a way to make it work this year. I don't care what it comes down to. It just looks so fun. And it definitely lived up to the hype because it was pretty incredible. Definitely something that I think every racer should do at some point in their life if they can. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. It was just an awesome experience.
So give me the distance and number of obstacles, just to highlight that first.
Okay, so it is supposed to be 6.5 miles. 85 obstacles, we know that. My GPS was showing like 7.3. So,
yeah, that's closer. That's about what I had too.
Yeah. It definitely was more like over 7.
7.2 or 7.1, 7.2 around there. Yeah.
And being there.
Depends how many wrong turns. It depends how many wrong turns you took on the way.
That's true. Yeah, I definitely took one.
Did you really? I thought the course was marked pretty good for the most part.
In
it
most
was.
of the areas.
It definitely was well marked. But when you're going all out and you're trying to maintain some momentum, it's easy to miss a turn here or there and have to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah. Overall, it was marked very, very well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys know, going through that terrain up and down, you can see how GPS would get thrown off quite a bit because there was just some spots where you're like crawling up ravines and digging through the woods and everything. It was pretty incredible. So.
Yeah. Logan, give me some of your initial impressions. Well, first of all, I guess before I get into that, Jenny, tell me how you did. What was your placement?
I placed 5th in the female elite group. So.
And who's ahead of you? I'm gonna highlight this. I'm gonna.
Amy Pagic.
Okay, good.
Came in first.
CTG
Ashley
Pro
Samples.
CTG Pro
Yep.
Team.
Yep. CTG Pro Team. Ashley Samples. CTG Pro Team was 2nd. Chrissy, I'm not even sure what her last name is.
McFarland,
3rd. I think that sounds right.
Spoiled our complete sweep, but that's fine.
Yeah, Chrissy McFarland.
I'm not mad at Chrissy.
Yeah.
And then Michelle Warnke was 4th.
Also on our team.
Yeah.
And then
and it's pretty cool, that they give awards out to the top 5 because
that was.
I mean, it's a pretty tough course. So I'm pretty proud of even a top 5 finish. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, the field on the men and women's side was brutal. I mean, it was, and then like you said, the course was super hard. I was way back there, behind Logan. So Logan, tell me how you finished.
Oh, you weren't that far back.
That's pretty far back.
Yeah. So where did I? So I finished in 1st place in the men's elite field, and felt good about that. Definitely a super tough race. So as Jenny was saying, north of 7 miles for sure, 85 plus obstacles, and like legitimate obstacles, like difficult obstacles, not ones that you'll see anywhere else. And except maybe OCR Worlds and those places where they're shipping them out. But yeah, and super technical trail, right? Like very slippery, a lot of scrambling. I actually, during the race, I was like, man, I should come back here and go bouldering, right? Do some rock climbing. There's some like legitimate, walls out here. So it was incredible. And yeah, I ended up in 1st place. VJ Jones took 2nd place. And then Jason West, really strong athlete. If those of you who don't know Jason, you should. He's always contending at any race he shows up at. He took 3rd.
I feel like he flies under the radar too.
He does, man. He flies under the radar. He's got a family. He's got, he's a busy guy. But it was really close between. So it was myself. 7 minutes back was VJ. About 7 minutes back from that was Jason West, and then Jason and Robbie Gingrich were really close there at the end. I think they ended up being about 8 seconds apart, but they were on the floating walls at the same time, kind of trying to rush through it, which is not one that you necessarily want to rush through. But it was anybody's race, so that was cool to watch that finish. And then Dustin Livingood wasn't too far behind those guys. He took the 5th place spot and walked home with some hardware.
Nice. Yeah, I was So I mean, before the race, we were talking, and we're like, I was talking to David Main Prize, Battle of the Lions owner, who was out there actually doing some of the builds on, like, I think he actually put together the low rig and the ending of floating walls. So floating walls was floating walls, the normal floating walls, and then the top, which we'll talk about in a minute, was essentially a trapeze thing. So it was like swinging bar, maybe another swinging bar. I don't know.
Yeah, another one, and then 2 rings.
And then 2 rings before you got to the end. So it was kind of a cool, different style finish. But he was out there, and we're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure VJ's gonna win, and like basically smoke the field. So I hope you don't take offense to that, Logan. But I thought it was obviously you're a very good athlete and you're phenomenal. But to me, it was I was surprised to see you standing at the top of the podium, and pleasantly surprised because I'm better friends with you than I am with VJ. So
I love VJ. I mean, VJ and I are tight. We're good friends, and I think I'm not offended whatsoever, Evan. So if you listen to anybody who was talking about the race, a lot of people didn't know I was going to be there. I kind of signed up, that week and didn't really announce it or anything. But I don't know that many people would have put their money on me because I'm not, really not that high profile yet, right? I'm still kind of, just a guy out here doing my thing. But I think people in Ohio kind of knew what to expect, especially up in the Cleveland area, people I train with, people who I see at, smaller races, more localized stuff. They know what my strengths are, and they knew that this course was something that I could really throw the hammer down on and do really well at. So, so I was happy to bring home the win, but VJ also had a great race, a tremendous performance and different style of race than what he would typically be used to, for sure. I mean, different style than anybody would be used to, right? It's probably the toughest OCR race in the world right now. And, so I'm definitely not offended if you didn't have me ahead of VJ on paper.
So for our listeners, if anyone ran King's Domain or Battle Frog Cincinnati or OCR World Championships 2014, 2015, that was very similar to the terrain where you're constantly up and down. There's a lot of technical footing. There are parts that are kind of hard to run on, and there's some other parts that are a little bit more runnable. Lots of elevation, and especially over that distance. And then it was just also similar to OCR, obviously. You're just packed with obstacles, right? It was just like obstacle after obstacle. And, I didn't think anything was super difficult, but doing them back to back really made it challenging. And then if you did the Chiefs challenge, the 3-lap challenge, which wasn't timed, it was just a go, no go type thing, then it's really added a lot more stress. Before we get to that though, so have you beaten VJ on Spartan courses?
Sure.
Before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've beat him in a couple, few in Tahoe, and there's probably a handful, right?
Okay.
Where we've met each other and raced, and I've done pretty well. I think anytime we met at Stratton, I think he focused more on the 3K and the team race. So I didn't get to race him in the 15K. But that's always a good race. Good race for me too. So a couple times. But I think if you stack us up in the most races that we've done together, he's since he's gotten to where he is now, he's finished ahead of me probably more often.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
And most people.
Anyway, yeah. So, great race. Share with me, Jenny. Give me some of your favorite obstacles, real quick.
Oh, okay. So I think they call it the red rig. It's one that Sydney and David designed or got to design this time themselves. So they did the pretty long cargo net to rings that kind of ascend and descend like Valkyrie, and then another cargo net. I just thought it was fun. It was like doable, but pretty challenging and just kind of fun to get through. Way back in the woods, as you guys know, I had heard that there was a slide, but I didn't realize how fast it was actually going to
be. It's so fast.
It's so fast. Someone had said that at some point they had a radar gun out there a couple years ago and they were clocking like 35 to 38 miles an hour. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I heard, but it definitely felt at least that fast because it was pretty insane, but it was a lot of fun. And then,
if you want to get a good laugh, if your GPS watch does like exact moment in time kind of splits, check it out for the slide. Someone was saying, like, I think it was Jason Williams was like, his GPS watch was like, like you were running a 2:30-minute mile, and it was like, what?
I didn't even think about looking at that. I'll have to go back and look. That's hilarious. And then just that very last obstacle with the floating walls was so much fun. Again, another thing that's like sort of challenging, but very doable. And just, it was really fun to get through and get up on those trapeze bars and the rings to finish it off. So.
Yeah, this back to the slide again. I mean, like you said, I was completely shocked how fast I was going. Like when you go down a water park when you go down a slide at like a water park, it's been engineered. There's been a lot of thought put into it. There's all these like safety, thousands of people are going across it a day, and like an Indian mud run, it's like we threw this tarp on the side of the hill and there's water going down it. Just just rock it, baby.
I'm glad I wasn't the first one to ever do that slide, because over the years, I think people have like channeled like a little bit of a groove in the hill. So at least you're not going to fly to the left or fly to the right, at least until you get to the bottom, right?
Right.
Then it's anyone's game. It's anyone's guess where you're going to go. But man, that thing was unnerving for sure.
And to be fair, I'm not tracking any injuries on it. And then on top of that, if you actually went behind the scenes, again, because I talked to David, main prize, like they went through that area and like ripped up every root and rock. And they also like kind of created lanes to keep people like in the slide. So no actual fear of falling out, but on first glance, you're like, oh, we're just going to roll down this hill at 35 miles an hour. Cool. So
that in itself is a reason to come to Indian Mud Run, just to experience that thing. That was
I agree.
Along with all the other crazy obstacles they throw at you. It's well worth it.
Quick reminder that this episode is brought to you by AminoCo. You can find their patented products at aminoco.com/TSS, and you get 30% off with the code STRENGTH. One of the things I really like about AminoCo is all their products have been proven through actual clinical trials, so you're getting the best and you know it works. It's pretty crazy to see how much scientific data there is backing up these products. AminoCo uses a precise combination of essential amino acids in their products, which are proven compounds with many years of scientific data backing up their effectiveness. Perform's a great pre-workout product, which helps improve strength, focus, and endurance. And Heal's a great post-workout product for those that want to recover faster but keep their slim physique or racing weight. You get a lot of the same benefits of recovery as you would with something like whey protein, but at a much lower caloric cost. In clinical trials, Heal was shown to be 4 times as effective as whey protein at triggering muscle repair. So it's good stuff. Make sure you check them out. I recommend Blue Raspberry as my favorite flavor of Perform. Again, you can check out their products at aminoco.com/TSS and get 30% off with the code STRENGTH plus a free gift for new users. All right, let's get back to today's episode. All right, let's jump back into the episode. So Logan, we're left off with you. Tell me about some of your favorite obstacles at Indian Mud Run.
Yeah. There's a lot to list here because there are obviously a ton of really good rigs. They had the nuclear ninja rings. So basically an ascending, descending, series of rings, or where you have to hold the rings and you have to hook them on the poles. So that was kind of cool. They had a super low barbed wire crawl. So a lot of barbed wire crawls. I'm a pretty low guy, right? I'm not very tall. So I could stay pretty high on most, crawls. This one I had to be down on my belly getting through it. And then you had to crawl under a very low log at the end. So that was kind of cool. The low rig was awesome. It's pretty tough. You can think through it and get through it pretty quickly, but you could also get hung up kind of in the middle where you're trying to transfer between these two kind of horizontal bars. The Gibbons, of course, Force 5 Gibbons was there as well, which if you've been to NORAM or OCR Worlds, that one's very technique focused, and I kind of missed the release. So you're holding these two dolls, and you have to hook them into into the what do you call them? The
Brackets.
cradles, I guess.
Cradles or brackets,
And I missed the first one, so that made me a little nervous because I was hanging there for a minute. Came a little bit closer because I was trying to skip, and then got through it pretty quickly. And VJ and I were together right during that one too. So he and I were trying to go through as quickly as possible. The low rig, we kind of approached that one together. I got through that one a little bit quicker. But he and I were both trying to just get through this stuff pretty fast. And then they had a weaver. They had a weaver over the water, which is pretty cool, that. Right? And so weaver is a really, kind of a technical obstacle. You can do it multiple ways, but there are better ways than others to do it. So if you've seen it before, maybe you have a little bit of an advantage, but that's always a really good one. Jenny mentioned the massive slide, which is just awesome. They had a 40-foot like monkey bar, type of deal. So that was pretty sweet. They even had a couple versions of floating walls. They had one where you actually climbed onto the floating wall and then you had to climb up and over it. So it's pivoting underneath you as you're trying to climb over this wall. And I think there was a rope on the other side, but I tend to jump from the top of everything to save a couple seconds. And so I'm pretty sure I just jumped down from the top of that one. But that's kind of unique and a little bit unnerving trying to go over a floating wall. So that was cool.
I started going across that one sideways like the other ones, and then the guy yelled at me, and I was like, oh. I thought it was weird that there was another, like a third set of floating walls in the same race. But yeah, this makes more sense. Right.
I got to it and didn't really know what to do, but luckily there was a volunteer there. I was like, do I go over this? Because it seemed kind of short, and the trail didn't go to the left or the right. It was on the opposite side of it. So I was like, all right, well, we'll figure this out. So
and essentially there only would have been one, if you were going across, there's only one lane.
Exactly.
So that doesn't really make much sense.
So people would line up for sure.
Yeah. So if you're using your brain, it would have been obvious. But like again, your heart's at max heart rate, right? And you're just trying to get through things as fast as you can. So you're not 100% there.
There were so many times in the race where I'm just going full speed, and then I had to stop and like look around, and I'm like, where am I supposed to go until I see those flags again, right? The ribbons on the trees and stuff. I would even ask the volunteers, and they wouldn't tell me where to go. And at one point we went up this rope ladder that was attached to the cliff, like to the rock, and you had to go up this rope ladder, and then you get to the top. There's a couple volunteers at the top, for safety reasons. And I'm looking around, and like I start running to the left, and then like I have no idea where to go. And so eventually I'm like running around trying to figure out where to go, and I end up back at the bottom of that cliff, staring back up the same rope that I already climbed, the rope ladder. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was just like, where's VJ's got to be close here, right? He's got to be right on my tail. So then I got to the top again, and then I figured out where I was supposed to go. But that was maybe a little bit maybe me a little panicky at that point. But that was and then there was of course the cargo nets. You feel like you're so slow going over these long cargo nets over these ravines because you feel like a baby giraffe like trying to learn how to walk or something as you're trying to get across these things, and I'm like rolling and like crawling. I'm like, I really don't know the fastest way to do this, so
I did the same.
And they were sagging, right?
Yeah.
Man,
I tried probably 3 or 4 different techniques, and I'm like, none of it's working. I'm just trying to move forward. So
I'm just gonna lay here and call it quits. Yeah, it's kind of like trying to crawl across like a giant hammock or something. So I
found that if you stand like about 3 or 4 feet in from the edge and kind of put your hand right on the edge, it kind of sinks down there, and then you can kind of walk. The first lap I had a lot more trouble than the second and third laps. And I felt bad. Me and Amy Pagic went across on like the second lap, and there was some dude who was like halfway across when we started, and then we finished, and he was like still halfway across. So I was like, oh man. I was like, that guy's having a rough day.
I wonder if he took a wrong turn and ended up back in front of it again. And to do it twice. That's funny. But and then of course, floating walls are the last obstacle, where you had the floating walls to the cargo net, up to like the trapeze, to the rings, and then over. That was pretty cool. And at that point, there's nobody behind me. It was a finish, so I got to like go OH, for my Ohio people, and jump down from that and finish. So that's a really cool, cool way to finish the course. And if it's tight, it's going to be really fun for the crowd to watch 2 people try to fly through that thing.
Yeah,
because technique matters.
Right, absolutely. And there's also a second slide, which I thought was really cool, right? There was a slide. It was like a warped wall into a slide into a lake, and then you actually swam a little bit and then went over a vertical cargo net also in the lake. So there's actually an obstacle in the lake, which I thought was kind of cool. And the same thing after the first slide, the first big slide, there was like a bar you had to go over, again, floating in the middle of the lake, which again, I thought was just a really unique take on things.
Yeah, and if you're ever floating in the water and you have to climb and pull yourself out, it's tough, right? Like you're way lower than you'd normally be, and you got to hook your feet and like get up out of the water as you're climbing up this thing. It was pretty cool. I loved the challenge of that. It's not something I've seen in other races.
Yeah. And then last one, I think we forgot to mention. Did we mention Skull Valley yet? I don't think so.
Skull Valley, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got some skulls on one side. You kind of sideways traverse, right? And then would it go to rings? Oh, no. It was like a ring and then this like rotating kind of bar type thing.
Yeah.
And then
it was
go for it.
It was like an A-frame bar, right? But it had two bars, so you could either go to the middle and stay balanced on it, or you can just go to one side and the whole thing would tilt, right, one direction. You could try to muscle through it.
And then there was a ladder. There was like a mini ladder, and then it was the Skull Valley alternating side holds, which I also didn't realize on the first lap. And I go like I make like a pretty substantial reach for the first skull, and then I go to get to the second one, and I'm like, how am I supposed to reach this thing? And the guy's like, they're on both sides. I was like, right, they're on both sides. I was like, I should have known that because that's how Skull Valley is pretty much designed every time. It's like,
Yeah, it took me a second to figure that one out too. I was on the first one like, I'm not that tall. I don't know that I can make that reach without, definitely falling on my face. But never figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thankfully I'd gotten there the day before and we kind of walked around and looked at things. Otherwise I would have had the same issue on that second set of skulls because it would have been a crazy reach. So
yeah. There was one lane where the first skull was kind of closer. So that was a big reach, but it wasn't insane. But when I went to do the second move, I was like, this thing is too far. Like, I can't span this. So, yeah.
It would be impressive if you did, though. Maybe just lachey to it or something. Just do a big dynamic move.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then, so me and Amy Pagic did and several other people had signed up for the Chiefs Challenge. So Chiefs Challenge, 3 laps of Indian Mud Run's course. As of 2021, it is not timed. So, basically after the first lap, then it's kind of do the best you can on the obstacles and run the complete course. Supposedly in 2022, Hubie is trying to add a competitive version of the Chiefs Challenge. So 3 laps, you're saying it would probably start like before the elite wave. So you'd essentially have to choose. And I didn't mention what the standard would be on mandatory obstacle completion or what, but I know by lap 3, my hands are not quite in my normal ultra-ocr shape yet, so I don't have calluses all in normal places. My hands are starting to get tore up. Let's see, I cut my hand open once on Skull Valley on lap 3, and then I was trying to avoid cutting it open more on the monkey bars, and then so I'm leaning towards my other hand, and then I cut the other hand open. So then I had,
of course, one
open hand wound on each hand. And then I go over Destroyer, and Amy's like, you're leaving blood on the obstacle. And I was like, damn it. I was like, okay.
Wow.
I was like, yeah. I should probably not do some of the – so I think I skipped the rope climb on the last lap, and I skipped actually a cargo net on the last lap just because I was like, people probably don't want blood all over their obstacles. But
oh, my gosh. Well, I was we were sprinting. We were going so fast through the woods and over the hard rocks and, the slipperiness. And I took a really hard tumble somewhere in like probably in the first mile and a half. And of course, VJ's right with me. We're running together. And I was just happy he didn't step on me because I went down so hard. And then your adrenaline's pumping right after that. So you get up and you keep running and you forget about the pain. But, even now I'm still sore from wherever I fell. My right side is just it's been killing me ever since.
Yeah, awesome.
That's
one quick comment back to the Chiefs Challenge, then we're going to start wrapping things up. But, I was like, oh, Chiefs Challenge, 3 laps, no problem. And the course was pretty hard. I'm not going to lie. Like even though it wasn't competitive and I'm not running super hard, so I'm not pushing myself to the normal level, like I felt like I had done a full like ultra OCR. And by the end of the day I had, cause I mean, but it took us, it was taking us probably 2 hours per lap. It's a little over 2 hours per lap. And we were moving at a decent pace.
And you're close to 22 miles at that
22
point.
miles. And then it's like 240, it's like 250 obstacles. It's like insane. Right. Yeah. So
did you get the elevation? Did you get the elevation change on this one?
Yeah, I'm wondering on that too.
I don't remember. What did you get, Jenny? I never trust the elevation on my watch.
Okay, so at the end of my first lap, I had over 3,000. I don't remember the exact number, but it was over 3,000. So
there you go.
Yeah, but I've heard as little as 1,500 and almost like 4,000 from some people. So it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah.
And then, so we mentioned on the women's side, Amy Pagic won. So I ran the second and third lap with her, and I need to give her a shout out because she had 100% completion for 3 laps, which
That's
was
awesome.
Just I was just floored by how well she was doing on these obstacles. Like, and you know, she's always in like a good mood, so she was pretty funny. She'd do it, and it would be like, did that even tire her out? So it was pretty impressive.
I train with Amy a lot because she's up here in Cleveland, right? And she's the one who got me into OCR, right, in the first place. Like, we were both Ninja Warrior people, and we were here in Cleveland, and she got me hooked up with the Cleveland Obstacle Racing Alliance, or Cobra, up here, and we were training together. And like, anytime we go rock climbing, she's just a monster at rock. You know, she's so strong, and she's so positive, right? I think her mentality kind of, you know, helps her become better and better, just never being discouraged. You know, when, you know, obviously, like, if she doesn't have her best performance, I'm sure she is discouraged, but you'll never know it, right? Talking to her, hanging out with her, she's just an amazing person.
Yeah, she's always got a smile on her face, for sure.
If anyone wants to hear more from Amy, she was just on the Obstacle Running Adventures podcast. They talked to her specifically about Indian Mud Run, so you can go back and listen to that. So that's currently out as of this recording, which is July 1st. So
nice.
Check that out. Okay. My only complaint from Indian Mud Run was the Chiefs Challenge took all day, so I didn't get to talk to all the people I wanted to talk to, because it was like a mini OCRWC or mini NORAM, whatever you want to call it, right? Because the waves are broken into age groups, so you're running with all the people your age, and it's a lot of the people who go to NORAM or OCRWC who travel for it all came to this race. So I saw people posting about Indian Mud Run on Sunday and Monday, and I was like, "You were at the race? I didn't even see you," because I was out running around the course all day. So that's my only complaint, which is more of a personal decision and a personal problem than anything.
Well, Evan, I will tell you that, you know, I signed up for Chiefs Challenge 2 days before, just on a whim, and I made it halfway through my second lap and realized I was trying to make it back for podiums. Got a ride back, and then once I was back, it was just all the people. I'm like, I don't want to go out again. Like, I just was having a lot of fun with everyone that was there, so kind of kept me from doing what you did, which was So,
I went out for part of a second lap with some friends and stuff, and then again had to get back for rewards, and I wanted to like see everybody, talk to everybody, and again this race should be like a pilgrimage for anybody who wants to like really take OCR seriously and really challenge themselves. So you see people from all over. I mean, VJ came out, he lives in Colorado right now, so he came out because he really wanted to challenge himself on some tough obstacles. So it was it was pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, let's start wrapping things up. Before we get going, Logan, tell us something people would be surprised to know about you. Do you got anything?
Oh my gosh.
Anything? I forgot to prep you for this one. But
geez, well, we talked about boomerangs, right? I compete on the U.S. boomerang team, and I do that sort of thing. I think people kind of know that now.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. You know what? I'm actually left-handed, although I throw right-handed. So in all my videos, you see me throwing right-handed. But I write with my left hand. I eat with my left hand. I play pool with my left hand. So yeah, kind of a weird story. I think my dad forced me to throw right-handed when I was really young because he didn't want to make a lot of left-handed boomerangs. And, so ever since I've thrown with my right and done everything else with my left. So fun facts.
Good one. Jen, you got anything to add for your own that we haven't
Oh
used
gosh,
already?
that you haven't used already. I'm going to say this because I've had a couple people. I just recently posted a picture. I don't post a lot of my children's pictures and things on social media or anything. So the other day, someone who I've known for several years, just through the OCR community, not like on a real personal level, was shocked to know that I have 2 kids. So I'll say that.
Nice.
Yeah, because I just don't put them out there a lot. So
Gotcha. Yeah, so I'll match Jenny's, which if you're listening to the podcast, you probably know this already, but I moved out of Kansas City mid-June, so I'm about 2 hours further west into the middle of kind of nowhere, Kansas. So if anyone's going through K-State area, I'm like 2 miles from their campus. So I'm now live in a new house. I'm in a new office, which is why I'm not sure what the acoustics in here sound like, but hopefully they came out good because we're not re-recording this. And yeah, I live in the middle of Kansas now, so I'll be here for a couple of years until until I'm done with the Army, and then we can go find something else to do. All right.
Nice.
Shout outs to any friends, family, sponsors, etc. Logan, what do you got?
Yeah, so my sponsors, my main sponsor would be Salming Running North America. So Salming, I raced in their OT comps. VJ raced in their OT comps as well this past weekend. So awesome shoes, awesome company. I use Swiftwick socks. They're great. If you haven't tried them, get a pair. They're amazing. And what else? Adaptafuel. Adaptafuel I use, kind of to just stay sharp and to recover well. And I think that pretty much covers it on my end.
Jenny, what do you got?
As always, all of our CTG Pro Team sponsors, but I'll give out a shout out to the ones that I use consistently almost every single day, and that is Mudgear, Squirrel's Nut Butter, Endurelite, and VJ Shoes. So
Gotcha. So I'm gonna echo that and give a shout out to Squirrel's Nut Butter, so anti-chafe product. Our point of contact over there, Eric Senseman, I believe is pronounced the last name, finished 13th at Western States. All right,
nice.
so
Wow.
kind of a big deal, right? Like essentially the ultra running, I would say it's kind of the world championship. But yeah, one of the biggest ultra running races in the world. So,
yeah.
That
was going on the same day as Indian, so I was kind of trying to follow updates on that at the same time. So
yeah. And then, Mudgear, if you haven't seen the Made Tougher commercial, make sure you go check that out. As of this recording, they actually just released like a shortcut, which has like just me in it, which is kind of cool. But but the longer one has everyone, and there are other ones with like just specific athletes in there. And let's see what else. Books available on the Team Strength Speed website. Go check it out. I just reorganized some of it kind of recently and have like my own. I took some of my charity events and kind of separated them into different categories, so you can highlight some of my race results and see some more of Bobby Ross's content in there. And then on top of that, Blegmit's back shipping. We're starting to run low on Blegmit Extremes, but just got in more Blegmit Lights. So if you're running Toughest Mudder, World's Toughest Mudder, Spartan Ultra Beast coming up, then I would order the Extremes sooner rather than later because I'm going to be starting to run low on those soon. And what else? I'm going to jump back over to Logan. I think he said he's got one other thing to share.
One more fun fact. All right, this is kind of I found this interesting. So I was a stunt double for Tom Holland.
Oh, you used that one last time.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, because I was really excited about it.
That's my go-to, and I forgot about it. All right, well, I won a game show. And was able to pay off my student loans by winning a game show back in, I don't know what year.
Oh, really? What game show?
It was a game show called Let's Ask America. It was called Let's Ask America, and it was like a general knowledge type of, game show, and it was me against like 3 other people, and I had to knock out each one in the different rounds, each one of the other people. And then at the end, I got to wager the amount that I won up until that point. And if I went all in, I could win 5 times the amount that I had earned up to that point. So, yeah. So I walked away with $32,500 and was able to pay off my student. So that was a good day.
That is a very good day. Yeah. Especially at that age,
Yeah. It was a shot of life for sure.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. We're going to get going. Again, what other shout outs do I have to give? I don't know. A bunch of my articles published on Mud Run Guide. Go over, check them out. There's a Frontline OCR review. There is a Rugged Maniac review. There's a kind of highlighting the Rugged Maniac Extreme, their multi-lap experience. Is an article highlighting Rugged Maniac VIP experience, so kind of you pay for some of the upgrades. Just published a bunch of new articles on strength and speed. There'll be an Indian Mud Run Guide review publishing on strength and speed. And then some more of my articles are publishing over on the Adventure-y, the OCR World Championships website. So there's just an article that came out giving you some advice on what races you should sign up for if you're coming to Stratton. Kind of taking it from a couple different angles, you know, if your goal is to do well in the 3K or your goal is to do well in the 15K, or you're just there to have the, if you're traveling from super far, to have the overall experience, stuff like that. So kind of approaches it from different angles and gives you reasons you may want to go or sit out from any number of the events for the course of the weekend. All right, go check that out, and we will catch all of you later. Logan and Jenny, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you, I don't know, later this year.
Yeah.
Battle of the Line.
Yeah, see you guys out on the course.
All right.
Yep. Bye, guys.
All right, later, guys. Thanks.
Bye.